My bad, people. My joint dead. Went dead on me. My joint went dead on me. I don't know why I ain't taking it back. I don't know why I ain't taking it back. What? I don't know why I ain't taking it back. Dead ain't. Dead ain't taking it back. I don't know why I ain't taking it back to my live. I don't know why I ain't taking it back to my live. That's crazy. Yeah, my joint went dead, people. My bad. My joint went dead on me. Oh, joint dead. Shit, man. You know what I mean? This is where it's at. You know, staircases. Busy staircases on top of that. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try to pick up where I left off at. We're gonna definitely try to pick up where I left off at. Yeah, so we back at it. So now we on the other side now. It's the other side. Yeah, pardon me, my phone went dead. Word. I went to the live, but I don't know why they let me finish up that live because I ain't in that other live, so I don't know what's that about. I don't know, that shit gonna keep on going or what. And I seen people say ain't nobody outside. Yeah, that's a blessing. It's never like that. You know what I mean? It was never like that. Yeah, Delvin, this is Castle Hill. You know what I mean? Yeah, pretty much about like 15 minutes away from the view. Yeah, this, you know, yeah, so I was walking, I'm on my way walking down to show y'all where Rim building at. You know, like these right here, they the shorter buildings. You know what I mean? They ain't like the boo. You know what I mean? But these are the shorter buildings. Word, it's crazy. Damn, I don't know how my shirt just cut off like that. That was wicked. Word, nobueno.com. I don't know what that was about. That shit crazy. I would have thought I would have jumped right back into it. But it didn't. But yeah, this drain right here, this building right here is where Rim from. This Rim building right here. You know what I mean? So that was the Ave. I showed y'all the Ave up there. You know what I mean? Back there, that's the back of those buildings, the boo. You know, so you come back here, this right here. It's considered the back. So we gonna walk over here. It's considered the back. This supermarket right there that we about to walk by, that shit been there forever. You know what I mean? If we wanted to be ornery, we'll come all the way back here. They got like a lake. They got like a lake back there where it's like another Kips Bay, which that was the Kips Bay that I grew up rocking with. You know what I mean? My uncle used to always take us fishing back here, man. Which is not literally back there, but back there. But this joint right here, this is, you know, the supermarket that been there forever. You know, they probably redid it. New ownership and all that. You know, but this is how a nigga was raised, man. You know what I mean? This is how a nigga was raised, people. You know? You hear niggas, you know, talk about winning all the time, man. That's all I know how to do, man. Coming from these neck of the woods. Coming from these neck of the woods, that's all you know how to do is win. I mean, I don't feel like walking all the way back there, but like I said, back there, all the way back there, that's like the, they had another Kips bait. It's all the way back there. It's in the back. I mean, these right here sit at the backside. You know, uh, walk over the whistling. But yeah, just like I said, this shit didn't change ownership and all that. You know what I mean? But yeah, I seen somebody say in the chat like it's dead, nobody outside. That's a blessing. It's times where people wanted to be like that. You know what I mean? They wanted it to be dead. Nobody outside. For the sake of the people, the sake of the elder. You know what I mean? So this pretty much is, the back. We call it the back. Like I said, we used to come back here. You know what I mean? And get our baseball lawn. You know what I mean? It was a little baseball tournament that they had for us back here. We had like, I wouldn't even call it baseball, yo. I wouldn't even know what to call it, but it was the machines to pitch to us. You know what I mean? And that was our fun. You know what I mean? We used to have fun with it. That's a fact. We used to have, like, that was our recreation, man. Word up, man. It's our recreation, man. So this is the back. Like I said, it's the back. It's the building. You know what I'm saying? My great-grandma's is in. That's this building. Great-grandma's. My great-great, my bad. You know what I mean? My great-grandma. So, yeah, look, this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? So this is where we used to play our baseball at right here, man. Word to mother, yo. We used to play our baseball. I don't know why they ain't redo this. They should have redid this right here. I don't even think they still got that going on. But this is the way we used to play baseball, man. For those who know, man, they know. You know what I mean? For those who know, they know, man. This is what we used to whistle name right here, yo. We used to play our baseball all crazy. Like I said, it used to be a machine. We ain't have a pitcher. You know what I mean? It was a machine that used to pitch us the ball all crazy over here. And this was our recreation. Like, they ain't fixed this up yet. You know what I mean? They ain't fixed this up yet. Word, they ain't fixed this up yet, man. Word. That's crazy. So, they like, yo, he always this. Yo, it's a blessing to do what I do, man. Because how I grew up, this is how I grew up, man. You know what I mean? This was our recreation, man. Niggas ain't having to go to no basketball games. Niggas ain't having to go to no baseball games. And mind you, from the side that I'm on, I live down a block from Yankee Stadium. People. I used to go to my roof and watch the Yankee game. With binoculars, I used to go to my roof and watch the Yankee game. The old stadium, not the new one. The new one, they blocked a lot of that off. But yeah, this was it right here, man. I don't know why they ain't fix this right here, man. But this is called, the back. We call this the back building. You know what I mean? Like I said, you go all the way across there, where we just came from. That's the booth side, it's the back side. And then over there, you got the Ave. You know what I mean? But look, this is how it look now. They done built a nice little basketball court over here, too. This was never here. You know what I mean? They done built it. This is where they do the little tournaments over here now. You know what I mean? It'd be lit over here. Castle Hill Day, it'd be lit. We got to come out here one day and catch Castle Hill Day. You know what I mean? Well, yeah, man. You know what I mean? Well, this is the living conditions, man. This is the message. This is the living conditions. Look, they done took a lot that it was always nothing over here. You know what I mean? Now they growing, whatever they growing over here. Whatever they growing. You know what I mean? But this was a lot we used to play in, man. Word, we used to play in, yo. We used to throw rocks at the cars that's robbed. Yo, we used to have, like, it's sad to say, but that was our fun. But they doing whatever, you know what I mean? But this is, this was new. They ain't never had this. This was new. Like, we ain't, we just ain't have it. You know what I mean? And that's a fact. We just ain't have it, So for me to be where I'm at in life right now, it's always a blessing. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, this was what this the only thing we knew. We ain't know nothing else. You know what I mean? We ain't know nothing else, man. So it's like, yo, look at this, man. Yo, this is how they want our kids to grow up. This is the kind of things that they want our kids to grow up, and play and, yeah, this is that. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like they set it up where as though, no future. You know what I mean? It's, you know, it's where you throw your little garbage at. Look, this how, you know what I'm saying? And I only can say this to people because, you know, on the other side of the things, you know what I'm saying? A nigga live a little different. You know what I mean? A little different. But I always got to come back home because this reminds me. You know, this is how I grew up, man. You know what I mean? Nigga ain't grow up flossing and nah, niggas grew up playing in pissy stairways, playing on top of elevators. Like, yeah, man. You know what I mean? So I'm grateful. You know, I'm grateful, man. But yeah, people, this is the baseball field, man. I was telling you about, man. Word, we used to play over here. They had that machine pitching us the ball. It's the first time I started learning to play baseball right here, yo. And I'm nice in baseball too because of that. That's a fact. I'm nice in baseball because of that. But yeah, man. So this is why I carry, you know, the BX so strongly on my sleeve, man. Because the BX is what made me the man that I am today, man. No matter what. You understand me? No matter what. And this is how big these projects is, man. It just breaks down to different sides. You know, one thing for sure, two things for certain. I really never really could recall us having issues. I mean, the way they broke it down, you know, this side, you know, a lot of projects had them issues. This side beefing with that side. I don't think we really never had that. And if we did, it wasn't really that major. You know what I mean? Because that's what they did. They divided. You know what I mean? Same project, but they just divided in sections, which I think we did. I don't think housing did that. I think we did that. You know what I mean? Divided the joint into sections and we just ran with it. You know, booth side, back side, then you got the ass side. Yeah, shit was wicked, man. But this is how they, you know, oppressed us. You know, they kept us in a box. Kept us in a box. And then it's sad because not only do you have these, right? So now as you wish name and get older, you know, like my side, you know, a lot of us, we grew up in, you know, they call tenement buildings. You know what I mean? 6th floor. So really, to be honest, like, this supposed to have been a good thing. Projects. You know what I'm saying? Project growing. This is a store that's been here forever, man. You know what I mean? Again, probably changed ownership and things of that nature. You know what I mean? But this is one of the stores, man, that, you know, come, steal. Niggas knew niggas' parents forever. You know what I'm saying? Kids who came over here now probably is up in that joint, owning that joint. You know what I mean? But they fixed it up. But, you know, this was my neighborhood store right here. You know, like I had showed y'all, the Ave, that was the Ave. We didn't really go over there unless we wanted to, you know, do something we ain't had no business doing. But this was my store that, you know, that I grew up on right here. You know what I mean? They changed it. You know, a lot of ownership probably. You know what I mean? It started drizzling a little bit, so pardon the drips, people. But I just wanted to take the time out, man, just to kind of like, you know what I mean, show niggas, this how I grew up, man. You know what I mean? This is how I grew up, man, and I ain't ashamed of it. You know what I mean? This is the kind of shit that made me built for tough. That's what I tell everybody. They's like, yo, yeah, why you don't live for what? What I'm gonna do that for? This is what made right here, man. There ain't too many people probably would have survived this. You ain't gonna survive it now, to be honest. A lot of niggas ain't gonna survive it now. You can't take an ordinary county kid and bring them over here and see they survive. Niggas ain't surviving this, man. That's a fact. Niggas ain't surviving this. We used to come over here, right here. You know, this was the shortcut that we took. You know, now you see how fast I was? I just went around the whole world, people, and it brings me back to the booth side. You know what I mean? Right back at the booth side. You know what I mean? We used to come over here, chill. They had the tables, they had like chess tables, like over here. But, you know, they didn't do nothing with this right here. You know what I mean? We used to play right here. They didn't have all them fences up like that. But this is something that we used to play like our little football games. You know what I mean? Two-hand touch, rough touch. You dig what I'm saying? And we used to rock out. Word to mother, we used to rock out. This was our fun right here, man. Word to my mother, man. This was our fun right here, man. You couldn't tell us nothing, man. Like I said, these right here, they just put that there. Now they trying to make it spicy. You know what I mean? Through the little grills. That was never there. You know what I mean? But, they trying. You know what I mean? Put the little tables here. I don't know who would come out here and want to cook out, but you never know. You know what I mean? A lot of people, like I said, they've been here forever. So this is all they know, Castle Hill, man. That's a fact. This is all they know. You know what I mean? And at one point, this is pretty much Beside my side, that's all I knew. Castle Hill, you know what I mean? And this is what it is. You know, me right back over here. I was hoping we still ain't even catching a plane, man. That's crazy, man. These joints come 24/7. But yeah, man, look, this is new right here, man. They done built a basketball court and all that. I can't believe this. I hear the plane, but I don't see it. You know what I mean? I hear it. Well, I'm gonna show y'all how close this plane used to come to my window, man. You know what I mean? Like that right there, you know what I'm saying? Like that was like right there, that was my like 11th floor. We used to just watch. And y'all gonna see, like the plane didn't go past that roof. It didn't go past that roof, people, the plane. The plane went, that shit went, I mean, literally maybe 12, 30, like, yo, y'all gonna see, hopefully this plane come, and I can show y'all how close that plane comes to my building. You know what I mean? It's bonkers. And I used to be like, yo, how the hell that they didn't know that that plane came so close? And then not only that, you know, the fuel. You know, people talk this and talk that. You know, look, people throwing shit out the window like it's crazy. But how people just, you know, be sick, and they wonder how they get sick, you know, for the people who grew up like right here to be Pacific, because this is where, you know, where it was all at for me. Like, you inhale all that growing up, man. All that fuel from the plane, you inhale it growing up. You know what I mean? Like I said, there's a lot of elder, you know what I mean, that been here, like, I mean, that man probably been here maybe 40, 50 years, man, of his life. You know what I mean? But then that's weird, man. There ain't no planes flying by. You know what I mean? But yeah, people, this right here was just, you know, it was where it was at. I'm surprised I ain't seen none of my guys come out, but this is where it should be at all night. Mad loud, we used to make mad noise. You know what I mean? And then, like I said, my aunt moved right here, that first floor, all them windows. You know what I mean? That was where my aunt was at. You know, that first floor, all them windows right there. Every last window till you go all the way around. That was her joint. Like I said, she was like 5 bedrooms in that joint. Word up. It was like 5 bedrooms, yo. And we used to have fun. Word to my mother. We used to rock out. Well, I'm surprised they ain't got no joints flying through this joint, man, so I could show y'all, yo, like, you know what I mean? They just built these lights, you know what I'm saying? Y'all see how it goes. Y'all be throw them sneakers up. You got Jordans hanging up on there. You know times change. You know what I'm saying? Times has changed, man, but this is a good look, man. Come out the building. I wish we would have had this right here. We wouldn't have had to go all the way across, you know, because, like I said, we in the middle. It's the boo. We in the middle of the whole project. So we used to have to walk all the way over, you know, to the center, which is all the way over there. We used to have to walk over there. They used to hate that because, you know, the center pretty much, they used to, you know, the people who lived over there and the kids over there, they used to be mad. Like, yo, y'all don't even live over here. You know, y'all come from the boo. Y'all come over here. Then, you know, we coming from the boo. We used to come over. We didn't care about they little park and all that. We used to be over there on rampage mission. Word up, but yeah, I'm trying to see the plane to come through, man. If I could show y'all how close this plane used to come to my building, you know what I mean? And we used to just inhale that jet fuel. Word up, yo. You know what I mean? I'm surprised a lot of people ain't really make too much fuss about that because you inhale that. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, it's plethora of planes. I'm talking about a day, man. You might count 100, at least 100. You know what I mean? And I could be capping. It might be more than that. But at least 100 planes used to come through there. I hear the plane, but that might be a plane that's going out because the airport is over there somewhere. But you used to inhale all that, yo. Word, that's a fact. You used to inhale all that shit, man. And it's like, ain't nobody, I don't know if anybody made fuss about it, but that was the wild part about it. You know, like, damn, we inhaling all this jet fuel. Like I said, it'd be like 100 of them joints, you know what I mean? They used to count. They used to just ride on by. And then further back, like you could tell, like when the traffic in the air was backed up, how the planes used to just idle. And they used to just be back to back to try to come, I guess, to come in and land in the airport. You know what I'm saying? Over there. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man, this joint just take me back, just being here. You know, like this is what made a nigga grind. This, you know what I mean? Made niggas start traveling. You know what I mean? Like I said, when I come down this way, You know, I used to get on this good old bus, man, the 36 bus, man. It's the last stop. Word, last stop, yo. And nowadays, you know, I be bugging like, damn, these kids be taking the bus early. And I just think like, man, I used to do the same thing. Word, get on this bus. Sometimes I didn't pay the fare. Go through the back. And we used to get off the bus, and I never used to even go upstairs. I used to come straight off the bus and get straight to playing. Word, straight to playing, man. I told you about my dog. Like, that was the weirdest shit ever. I ain't really never see that. But my dog never wanted to leave. My dog never left. You know what I mean? I had my one of my older buzzins. They, you know, they kind of, you know, took control, and they kept my dog. You know what I mean? They kept Tina. You know, but we was over here all the time anyway, so it's like my dog never left. My dog never left, really. He ain't miss a beat. But he got his way over this way, man, and he ain't want to leave. That nigga ain't want to leave. That's how I lost my dog. That was, you know, I grew up with a dog and a cat in my bread. That's a fact. Grew up with a dog and a cat, man. And, you know, when I think about it, you know what I'm saying, it's like, I didn't want to come back home. You know what I mean? You know, a dog knows his home. But it's like he came over here and he just fit right in. You know, that's the point I'm making with that. He just fit right in. Nigga came right over here and just fit right in, yo. Like all this block like wasn't there. You know what I mean? These houses wasn't there. Like there's a lot of new stuff that they built over here. But this is where it's at. So now, like, you know, my older brothers, this is where they was. You know, this is where, you know, they spent a lot of their time. Like my older brothers, you know what I mean? My big bro Hev, big bro Gage. Like this is where they spent a lot of their time. Even my uncles. Like my uncles, they spent a lot of their time here. Because like I said, my great grandmother is their aunt. You know, that's my grandmother mom's. So I might have said that wrong. My great grandmother was their grandmother. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's how they grew up. They grew up with their grandmother. You know what I mean? That's a fact. They grew up with their grandmas. And we was just deep. And that's another thing. We was deep as hell over here. A lot of females. Word, I got like maybe 13, 14 female cousins. You know what I'm saying? And it was like 9 boys. And then, you know, when we came over, we added on to it. We used to come over here. We used to go over there, bug out, jump over the fence and get our swim on. Oh, man, yo, it was just so much crooked shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, here you go. You know what I mean? Got the 36 bus coming. Like I said, that's the last stop. We used to get over there and just go ham and go bonkers, man. You know what I mean? We come over here. You know, you had, what's that joint we used to go over? We used to come over here to the pool, man. Swing it to the pool, jump over the fence. You know what I'm saying? And that was our fun, man. You know what I mean? That was our fun. But I want to say what Stevenson Commons, I think that's what these is over here, Stevenson Commons. You know, this ain't like nights, these supposed to be like co-ops. But we used to come over here cause havoc. That was our playground. You know what I mean? Because we was right here. Like these are new, like these never been there. You know what I mean? He's never been there. So you know, man, you know, this is, you know, why, you know, I wear the BX on my sleeve, man. This what made me. This is just one part. You know, this is one part of a nigga life, man. You know what I mean? This is just one part, which is Castle Hill Projects, man. The Terror Dome. You know what I mean? The Terror Dome. That's a fact. This joint is the Terror Dome, people. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like I say, man, that's the 36 bus, the last stop. You know what I mean? So get off right there, walk right here, don't even go upstairs, and we just start wrecking, having fun. I'm talking about, oh my God. Sometimes we'll come straight over here, like I said, to the center. You know, come straight to the center. It was like the time frames that we know with the bus, and we know we get off the bus. And mind you, it's like an hour ride. It's like 45 minutes from, you know what I mean, where I live on the west side. It's like an hour ride, you know what I mean, to here, which is the last stop. It's an hour ride. So we get on that joint, take a little nap, wake up, we get here, and don't even find out a plane gonna go through. Let me find out a plane gonna go through now. But yeah, man, shit was weird. Goddamn plane comes so close to civilian life. Word. And see over here, like I said, the buildings are shorter. You know what I mean? So, over here, it'll drive the plane and go like, rooftop angle. But when you come like behind them buildings, which is the booth side, like them shits will hit like 11th, 12th floor type shit. Word, we used to get off the bus and just come wreck out right here. People had mad fun. Like they used to hate it because they knew, like a lot of us, like we ain't come from this side. We came from the booth. So we used to come over here and cause hell. Word, we used to cause hell. That's a fact. Cause straight hell, straight drama. And that was our playtime. Word, that was our playtime. We ain't miss a lick. We ain't miss a beat. Nope, we ain't miss a beat or miss a lick, man. Randall playground. Yo, we used to come over and have bad fun, but I never forget that middle joint right there. That was like where they had the bathrooms and all that. You know what I mean? Just go in there, get my first little touchy. You know what I mean? Like, that's a fact, man. You know what I mean? It's fun, man. See, a lot of guys, they can't come back. They say, yo, ain't nobody out there. It's dead. Yeah, that's a good thing. Word to mother, that's a good thing. Because it was wicked. Like, you couldn't even probably, if you wasn't from here, you couldn't walk through none of that. And I just walked dead middle of the jets. Dead middle of them. Couldn't do that. I mean, even we about to walk across now, the Ave. The Ave used to be lit from corner to corner. A lot of you not. Corner to corner, man. And a lot of people that's even from here, like for example, like what I said about the Boo building, they ain't even go to these stores on the Ave. Cause that's where the for real and killers was at. On the Ave. So you ain't, and I'm just saying you were young, you know what I mean? But you had older niggas like the twins, you know what I'm saying, the BMOs and you know what I'm saying? The S1s and all that, like, that this was they hangout. They're a little older than me. But this was they hangout. You know what I'm saying? Like, here we go. It's a legendary ad. Every store on this ad, like dudes you wasn't playing with it. Word, it's a fact. You was not playing with it. You wasn't coming over here playing that tough guy role because you would get smashed out, MOP style. You know what I mean? But you'll be so scared to walk into these stores because these niggas be holding these stores down. They be so proud of you. Still got dudes that do it. You know what I'm saying? Getting their little whistle name on. They still do it. But this right here, it's the Ave. Word. It's just the whole strip. I should go to the other side. But dudes wasn't playing. Like, you know what I mean? Like I said, the store that I showed y'all prior, that was our store that we went to. You know what I mean? Like people from the boo side, we ain't come over here to the Ave, to the store and all that. Word, we ain't do that. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how thorough you was. And it's crazy, because like a lot of people who really hung on the Ave, they didn't come from this side. They either came from the back side or the boo side. That was the crazy part. Word to mother, that was the crazy part. They ain't come over there. Word to mother, it was wicked. What up? It was wicked, man. That shit was bugged out. Word. Now you got the youngins over here. It's like Big Trini over here for those who know. Like I said, this building right here, it's just, you cut through, this be like our little cut throughs. This is the building Remy Ma grew up in. You know what I mean? We used to come over here playing the hallways and all that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just wicked. Word. But yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it was, man. You know what I mean? It's a blessing. It's a blessing. Like I said, man, a lot of dudes, they'll make it. They wasn't coming to this. Stuff like this, you come, there's always an elevator down. You know what I mean? Always elevated down, so you only get one elevator. You know what I mean? You get one elevator. You did. on one elevator. You know what I mean? You got 2 staircases. You know what I'm saying? Like go to the back side. You got this staircase that come to this side. You got the other staircase. It'd be like, yo, listen, my guy, you had mad fun. Yo, where you at? Yo, we're this in 4th, 5th. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at now, 4th, 5th. But yeah, man. You know what I mean? This is what make a nigga come back down to reality, man. Like it was real. It was definitely real. You definitely had to get it how you live. You know? You had to get it how you live, man. You know what I mean? A lot of your favorite artists, they got stories about the hill, trust me. They got stories about the hill, you know? They got stories about the hill. There's another staircase right here. It's like, yo, 1, 2, 3. There's 3 staircases in this joint. You know what I mean? 3 staircases. You know what I mean? If you break it into the mailbox. Like, this is a life, man. You know what I mean? Would you like to live this life all your life? No. But they did it. You know what I mean? A lot of dudes did it. A lot of people don't know nothing about incinerators. Look, I'll tell you, like, you know what I mean? Look, this is the incinerator people. You know what I mean? They got this on every floor. So we dump your garbage out. You know what I mean? Bound open that joint up, man. A rat pop out on you. Word, man. This is how they did us. And the mother, that's how they did us, man. Put us in a predicament where, you know, at times it's all we know. So like when you go to the little states, you know, the Connecticut's, the Pennsylvanians and all that, you know, even Southern, you know what I mean? At one point, when you go down south, they was like, yo, listen, we don't, you know, they put a ban on people from up north moving down there. Because the shit that they complain about down there, you know, we didn't complain about it, you know what I mean, moving down there. You know, when you want to buy a house or something, them niggas did to my mom's. You know what I mean? It was like it started at when my mom's first moved down dirty, they was like skeptic because the shit that we was jumping on, the people down south, they wasn't jumping on. They felt like they was getting jerked. You know what I mean? So when we came, we was jumping on everything. So they was being mad, and pretty much they like, yo, listen, y'all dudes coming up there and y'all buying all the property. You know what I mean? Buying all the property. And we did that with a smile on our face because it was different. You know, it was definitely different. You know, can you imagine, you know, coming from a situation where, you know, I ain't even gonna lie, yo, down south, anyway, yo, your bathroom be bigger than a room, like down south. That was a good money for us. But your bathroom is bigger than your room? Dudes just like, yo, you know, at the end of the day, like, what? And, you know, the people that was born and raised, the Carolinians, they was upset about that. So now, look, you go down south, that's all you see when you go down south. You go down south, all you see is people from up north, you know, flooded down south. You might got more up north people living down south than actual people that was born down there. That's a fact, and it's crazy. I'm gonna tell you how wicked it is, because you had the people that was born and raised down south, they left down south to come up north. So you see how the 360, now you got people up north running back down south. You know what I mean? So that's why I used to be bugging, you know, when you walk and you go down south. You know what I mean? Dudes, you like, yo, yeah, you an up north nigga. I'm like, yo, my nigga, what? You know, my family, we was born and raised down here. You know what I mean? We just bounced and went up north. You word the mother. And the same thing up north. You know what I mean? You run up on somebody, like, yo, how long you was here? They be like, oh yeah, I was here, you know, 15, 20 years. You know what I'm saying? But I'm originally from down south. You know what I mean? So it's wicked how they just put us in a box, and then they be wanting us to walk around like, you know, like we regular civilians, and, you know, like we ain't grew up with a chip on our shoulder. You know, dudes be taking stuff like that for granted. You know, they be taking it for granted. You know what I mean? Even when you look up like upon this YouTube streets, you get people, you know, they run around, they do all that fussing and bussing and all that, and they ain't doing nothing. You know what I mean? They ain't doing nothing. Same thing with that Fat Joe statement. Can't get mad at no Fat Joe. Fat Joe hit it on the nail. Word. Dudes is crab in the barrels. Crab in the barrels. Everybody fighting for nothing. Because everybody, all in one. They see one person making it, they hate on them. Instead of embracing it, making that, a note to themselves, you can make it out. They don't do that. That's the same thing in real life. They like, yeah, yo, I moved. And they start hating. Oh, they think they better than you now. Or they done moved out of town. And they, living in the houses and all that. Nah. You come from anywhere up north, man. You know what I mean? It's easy. It's way easy for you to make it down south, than a natural born up northerner. The people down south, they didn't go through the things that we went through. It's always movement, you know what I mean, in New York. You go down south, everything's shut down, 6, 7 o'clock. You did? 9 o'clock come in, you may be on the phone or something, you be making too much noise, you'll wake up a whole neighborhood. Or the mother, a whole neighborhood, where, in New York, they don't sleep. Niggas be up, talking, it should be loud. Be times where a nigga be walking around, doing my show, whatever. They think I be arguing with somebody. Yo, you good, homie? Yo, they be thinking that they could be arguing, beefing, and they be having a regular conversation, but nigga just be loud. You know what I mean? They be loud. Like, that's the only thing I used to hate about, like, down south. You know what I'm saying? Down south, you be down, and you start to talking, and your voice will raise. Look at me. Nigga, I ain't screaming at you, nigga. That's just how a nigga talk. Word. You gotta talk over airplanes, buses, and trains, and especially in New York. So you normally loud. And outside of New York, they look at that like you arguing. Oh, yo, you mad? No, you ain't gotta be none of that. You know what I mean? You ain't gotta be none of that. But that's what they do. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that I didn't really like about down south, because you always had to explain yourself. You know what I mean? Here in New York, even with the slang, you know what I mean? They pick up quick. Down south, they ain't know nothing about nothing. You be like, yo, let me get a germ. They be like, what? What's that? Like, nigga, you don't know what a germ is, nigga? You know what I mean? I mean, what? Nigga talking about a square. We ain't calling that no square. Like New York, nigga, like, yo, with the weed, like, yo, where the Buddha at? You know what I mean? We used to call weed Buddha. Yo, where the Buddha, where the scammer? You go outside of New York and you go to them, you know what I mean, to them southern states, they be like, yo, what is that? What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember I was in Delaware, yo. In Delaware, yo, they used to call weed bushead. I'm like, what? And he's like, yo, where the bus at? Bushead? Like, nigga, what is you talking about? Bushead. But that's what it was, though, and it was weird. And you gotta adapt. You gotta know how to adapt. If you don't know how to adapt, then you gonna be sitting there looking lost. Word. Looking lost, man. Word up. Man, we got the people in the building. I ain't even check up on the people in the building. What we talking about? Open shower basketball court. I don't know what they talking about. Bro, get out the rain. Yeah, it just started coming down. A little drizzle though. NY318 salute. Appreciate the pull up. Justice salute. Big L says best. I don't know what they mean by that. Ryan, I see a whole bunch of what they mean. What happened to your channel? Used to be lit. Yeah, be like that, man. Yo, hood, salute, my guy. Yeah, be like that, man. When when you get away from the drama. Who said that? Get out of here. What happened to your channel? Used to be lit. Yeah, when you listening, they wanted content, but showing you no love no more. Nah, it don't even be that, man. It's just when you're not with all that yelling and screaming and going at it with people, be talking tough and they ain't really busting no movies. They don't want to see that. Over here in this sector, they want to see you argue. They want to see you scream They want to see you do all that. And when you're not really into that, they just don't pull up, which I'm all right with that. Word, I'm all right with that. I ain't mad at that. Who this up here? Are y'all, what? Are you ready? Are y'all ready, kids? Hey, Captain, I don't know what he talking about. Super pants, absorbent in yellow. I don't know what he talking about. I don't know, you know, some of these people, you don't know what they talking, they just be tripping. Bronx is the hardest borough in New York. I wouldn't say that, but we definitely up there. We definitely up there. They wanted content, but showing, you know, love. Yeah, that's a fact. That's what, yeah, they say that's what they wanted. You know, they wanted to see a nigga move up and do big things. What PJs are those? Power of the Trinity, Castle Hill. Justice, Big L says best. Big L says best in his rap song about the hood lingo. Yeah, that's a fact. But you go outside of New York, they don't know nothing about no hood lingo. They don't even know who Big L is. I mean, if you ain't from up north and move down south, they don't know who no Big L is. That's foreign to them, Big L. They definitely don't know who no Big L is. Word, what's this? And that's a whole fact. They definitely don't know. Dominique, YN. I don't know what they talking about. Yeah, that's a fact. Big L, a legend. You already know that. Word, you already know that. Open shower basketball court. They want a concert, but showing you no love no more. Yeah, that's a fact. We ain't worrying about that though. You got still put on. Yo, y'all make sure y'all tune in. 6 o'clock. We got Hip Hop Talk Weekly. 6 o'clock p.m. Make sure y'all pull up. Hood, salute. Who this? It's Reezy, head honcho. Bronx is the hardest borough in New York. Said that already. Shout out to all the projects in America. Yeah, that's a fact. This old block. Shout out to old block. Word, shout out to old block. But yeah, man, that was just one for the record for me, man. I said, let me get in and walk around till it started. You know, coming down, ain't raining, you know, that little drizzle. You know what I mean? But as y'all see, you know, I'm built for it tough. But you know, it's my reality right here, people. You know what I mean? You know, some people lose themselves. They forget where they come from. And it keep me sturdy. You know what I mean? When I come back home, this is what I like. You know what I mean? They be like, yo, why you be, yo, why you, for what? Why would I leave and never come back? This is my safe haven. You know what I'm saying? This is what make me see what life is really throwing at you. You know what I mean? You could never forget where you come from. You know, you start losing when you do that. When you forget where you come from, you start losing. You know what I mean? One of my mans just moved up north from the Bronx. Yeah, that's what they do. You know? Even up there, you know, like the Albanys, the Buffaloes and all that, the way of living is different. You know what I mean? They growing up in houses and all that. You know what I mean? There ain't too many projects when you go up north. There ain't too many projects when you go up north. Word. It's definitely ain't that. Definitely, you know, we got the bikes parked out in front. They ain't got that. This joint right here this is all grind. You know, grind. Look, you see people, look, you know, you got the old head. It's grind. You always moving. Always moving. Carrying some. Going to a destination. You ain't got that in other places. It rain in North Carolina. There ain't no movement. Everybody's indoors. It's not coming outside. You know what I mean? In New York, it's always constant movement. People are moving around accordingly. You know what I mean? Accordingly, they are moving around. They getting to it. They going to destination, A to B. Word, that's a fact. A to B. Then I'm going to keep it real with you. A vehicle is really not needed in New York. A lot of people rather take the public transportation. Subway, the bus. You know, you go to these other little joints, you know what I mean, outside of New York. You know, these dudes, you got to have a vehicle. You know what I mean? Store may be a mile or two away. You know, when you in New York, you know what I mean? Store be right around the corner, up the block. You know, the blocks are long, but it's right there. You get your walk on, you go take care of what you got to take care of. You see what I'm saying? You know, like I said, it's elderly. You know, you should have a lot of elderly. You don't see no young people. You don't see them moving around, going to those stores and all that. You know, Mr. Elderly going to do what they got to do. Then up here now in New York, they don't give you no bags. They adopted that. I ain't never seen that. They adopted that, you know, in these other little states, the Delawares. I seen that in Delaware for the first time. Save-A-Lot. Like, we ain't got no Save-A-Lot here. You know, they don't give you no bags. You know what I mean? You spend your money there, you don't get no bag. Even sneaker stores and all that now, they doing that. They ain't giving you no bag. You come up there and shop, spend your bread, you ain't getting no bag at all. You know what I mean? None at all. That's a fact. You know, it's everything just moving, no matter what out here, no matter what the weather is, they don't care. They gotta get to it. They gotta handle their BI. In a lot of states, you know what I'm saying? Look, but y'all, they going to get them wash their clothes. Rain, sleet, hell or snow. They going to make it happen. They ain't no sit down and be go wait. You know what I mean? It's a little drizzle. It ain't bad. But look, that's a prime example. You know what I mean? Laundromat right around the corner. You know what I mean? And every time it's movement, man. You know what I mean? It's movement. So there's always somebody moving. There's always somebody doing something. You know, and when you see that, you know, that brings me back to reality. Like, yo, you know, it ain't all about driving everywhere. You know, you go to these other states, you gotta drive everywhere. You gotta drive to the store. You know what I mean? You gotta drive to the supermarket, which it ain't no supermarkets. You know, a lot of people, you know, that live outside of New York, you know, they do their food shopping in Target and Walmart and all that. No, we got supermarkets where you could do food shopping. They don't really have that in these other states. Word, they don't really have that in these other states. You know what I mean? But, you know, this is what it is, man. You know what I mean? It's definitely what it is. You know, I just wanted to pull up, you know what I mean, and, you know, show the people, you know, why, you know, I consistently say keep winning. You know? Keep winning. The reason why I say keep winning, you know what I mean? Because if you don't win, people, you ain't got no destination, you ain't gonna make it. You know what I mean? You ain't gonna make it. And that's just a cold stone fact. Like you even got cats. Yo, you even got cats, my guy. Like, you can't make this up. Let me get back to the shit of that. I never look at it like that about the bag. Yeah, that's a fact. Delvin, bless up again, my God. Peace and blessings to you. That's a fact. Appreciate the pull up. I don't know who that is. I don't know if that's my God or what. But yeah, man, you know, that was just, you know, me letting people know, man, what it is, man. You know what I mean? It ain't all peaches and cream. You know what I mean? It ain't all peaches and cream, man. Or, you know, you got people rushing, man, in the rain, man. It ain't never like that when you go to these other cities. See, you know, I'm around, man. I leave New York. You know what I mean? And, you know, when I leave New York, you know, you can kind of forget where you come from. You can forget where you come from, people. When you leave the state of New York, you can definitely forget where you come from. You know what I'm saying? You definitely forget. You know, we ain't got to do this. You know, this is nothing. You know, before I get up out of here. You know, this is how, you know, niggas playing these hallways, you know, niggas be pissing in these hallways. You know, a lot of people ain't experienced life after these hallways, man. Just pissy hallways, man. You know what I mean? This is how people live. You dig? This is how people live, man. This is why I always say I'm always there, niggas never there, man. I was able to get up out of this situation right here, man, you know. Go through backyards and all that, park my car in backyards, not worrying about getting no tickets, parking on public streets. You know, got that good old backyard, you know, more than 2 bathrooms. You know what I'm saying? It's just what it is. You know, I'm just blessed where I ain't gonna forget where I come from, man. You know, and on that note, people, man, I appreciate y'all pulling out, rocking out with your boy. And like we talk about nothing. You know, y'all could have been anywhere. You know what I mean? But y'all rocked out with me. You know, for a little half an hour, and whacking my other joint, come on, my battery died. And then go back to my live. You know what I mean? You know, we got, you know, joints like this. This is the terrace, people. You know what I mean? saying? This is the terrace, you know. I grew up playing in this joint. You know what I mean? Grew up playing in this joint. You got people, man, homeless, they come live in this joint. Yeah, man. If you don't get your mind right, man, you don't have in your mind every time you wake up to win, this is where you end up at. Word up, this is where you end up at. You know, especially the people that's from New York who made it out and they ain't do too good making it out. You come back here, this is when you come back too. You know? Everybody motive is to try to get out of here. You know, act accordingly. When you leave here, trust me, this is where you come back to. You know what I mean? And this is what we call it terrace, man. I mean, this is when they came, played, you know, your mom said, yo, don't go outside. You know, you go to the terrace though, but don't go outside. You know what I mean? And this is what this is it. Beautiful view, you know, beautiful view, beautiful. You know what I'm saying? But this is what it is. You know what I mean? On that note, man, I appreciate y'all for rocking out with your boy 050 Bucks, aka Mr. Shoot Right Back, aka the Dark Side General. You know, make sure y'all pop out, come support my man Artie. Make sure you go subscribe, Lightside TV. We popping out 6 o'clock Eastern Time. We are making it happen. You know what I mean? Hip Hop Talk Weekly. Come be a part of it. Where we talk about hip hop. You know what I mean? And we debate later. And on that note, man, it's your boy again, 050 Bucks, aka Mr. Shoot Right Back, aka the Dark Side General. And I'm out of here. That's a fact, and I'm out of here.